All right, welcome back everybody to the Deep Dive. We're diving into the life and times of, well, a pretty notorious figure today, Al Capone. We've got all sorts of fascinating stuff to cover about the guy, so let's get right into it. What really jumps out at you about his story?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? You think Al Capone, you think Chicago, you think gangsters and Prohibition. But it's more than just a crime story, you know what I mean? It's about power, ambition. This guy, he lived in a crazy time and made some choices, good and bad, that still make people talk about him today.
Absolutely. And when you say crazy times, I mean, we're talking Prohibition-era Chicago. Let's set the scene a bit, shall we? Capone, born back in 1899 over in Brooklyn. He ends up in Chicago. What takes him there, and how does this whole Prohibition thing play into it?
Right, so Prohibition kicks off in 1920. The whole country goes dry, no alcohol allowed. It's supposed to be this big social experiment, but all it really does is create a massive black market, a huge opportunity for anyone willing to, shall we say, bend the rules a little. And Capone, he sees that opportunity.
He does more than see it. He grabs it with both hands, doesn't he? From what we've got here, he wasn't just running a few speakeasies. He built a whole empire. I mean, breweries, smuggling rings, the works. It's almost mind-boggling how much money he was pulling in. One source says over $100 million a year.
Yeah, that's right. Over $100 million a year. Can you imagine that back then? That's an astronomical amount of money. Makes you realize just how much power this guy had. But that kind of power, it attracts trouble. And it comes with a price, a bloody one.
Absolutely. And I think one event really brings that home. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre. 7 men gunned down in cold blood. I mean, talk about sending a message.
Chilling, isn't it? And though he was never officially charged, most people believe Capone was behind it. A way to eliminate his rivals, consolidate his power. It really solidified his reputation as a ruthless, cold-blooded gangster, someone you didn't want to mess with.
Definitely not someone you cross. But then it gets interesting. The Great Depression hits, and we see this other side of Capone emerge. He starts opening soup kitchens, helping families in need. It's almost a contradiction, right? The ruthless gangster, the philanthropist. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's like this weird duality, right? You have these brutal acts and then these acts of charity. Some say it was all just a PR stunt, try to improve his image. Others, well, they think maybe there was some genuine compassion in there. He grew up poor himself, maybe never forgot where he came from.
A complex guy, no doubt about it. But even with all the money, the power, the soup kitchens, it all comes crashing down. And not in a blaze of glory, but because of taxes. It seems almost ironic, right?
Right. You'd think it would be rival gangs, the cops, something like that. But no, it's the IRS that finally takes him down. Tax evasion. Convicted in 1931, 11 years in federal prison. It's a reminder that no one, not even Al Capone, is above the law.
And after prison? It wasn't exactly a happy ending, was it?
No, not at all. Syphilis, it really took its toll. Spent his last few years down in Florida, his health deteriorating, battling dementia. Died in 1947, only 48 years old. A sad end to such a larger-than-life figure.
Larger than life, that's a good way to put it. And, even all these years later, people are still fascinated by him.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? What is it about Al Capone that keeps us coming back to his story?
Maybe it's the allure of the forbidden, right? The gangster lifestyle, the power, the money, the danger. It's all a bit exciting, isn't it? Even if it's terrifying. Or maybe it's the contradictions. He was a brutal criminal, but also in some ways a product of his time. It's a story that makes you think, that's for sure.
It certainly does. It makes you wonder what you would do in those circumstances, how you'd navigate that world. But hey, those are the kinds of questions we love to grapple with here on The Deep Dive. And for more thought-provoking content, make sure you're following Starplay Studio on all your favorite social media platforms. We'll see you next time.